Welcome to the Marketing Madmen. It's a new year, and we have a new episode of SEO resolutions, things I've learned. I have Chris Williams here from Elite Web Professionals. Chris, how you doing, brother?
Doing great.
Good. I'm glad to have you. You gave a lot of good advice last year. I think one of the most important things I'm going to tell everybody is try to learn this stuff yourself. I know it sounds crazy and daunting, but for example, Chris gave me some advice on how to optimize pages and content and posts for SEO. And it has become harder than ever because there's more involved, there's more nuance, but the system is telling you in real time what to do better at. So there's no excuse not to learn it. So the first resolution is know enough to be dangerous. You don't need to be a pro. You don't need to be like Chris here, but you need to know enough to hold your people accountable, because I would bet there are some of you out there that don't know what the hell your providers are doing, and you're either being ripped off or you're being taken advantage of, because this is something that everybody needs now. So I did my quick rant, Chris. Why don't we start? Let's do a brief take us back and just talk about how important SEO is to building a business.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Again, Chris Williams, Inc. on Instagram. But the history of SEO 2024, what happened this past 12 months was actually re-optimizing our website, going in and addressing those old, outdated content, refreshing the content, giving a new experience, thinking about the customer journey. So that when they land on your webpage, they're getting the exact information that you're searching for. And if you address those issues, then you would have seen an increase in traffic. If you didn't, then you would likely have seen a decrease in traffic, because of AI, so many different companies are able to create content in such a fast, relevant, quality way that if you have the same content that you had on your website 5-10 years ago, you're not as relevant anymore. No matter what your page authority is, if you haven't done anything to update and refresh your information, you went back. And a lot of people suffered last year because of that.
Let's get to that. I want to get to the specifics, but broadly, let's talk about why Google does this, because I think this is one of the most misunderstood things. And look, I'm one of the conspiracy theorists that says they're doing this to make money, but what they're trying to do is drive engagement. And they want the pages to be easy to navigate for people, so more people go on Google and they stay on Google longer, right? Similar to Facebook, Instagram. They want your attention span is their commodity. They trade in your attention. The more these things are optimized to keep your attention, the more benefit it is to the platform, to the advertisers, and everything else. So ultimately, yes, their job is to make more money, and they change these things. However, they are changing it on user behavior and all of the data they have from you, which again, if you don't believe you're being data tracked, if you're not paying for something, your data is what's being traded and what's commoditized. So
if you're not monitoring your own data, that could be a challenge as well. But you're right. Google wants to provide the best experience for people coming on the website. Google's customer is not just the people who click on the paid ad. Their customer is every single person that search on Google. Okay. And they want to provide the best user experience for that person. So what that means is, when someone does a search, when they land on the website, Google feels like it did a good job when a person doesn't have to do another search again. If they do that search one time, click on whatever website out of the top 10 they choose, they found the exact information they look for. So what does that mean?
And that means they're more likely to use Google again. And that means if Google provides them the right information, they trust the maps that they click on, they trust the ads. It is building a platform to which Google can get the information in which either the people or they deem relevant out.
So that's exactly what it means, is that they're going to try to create the best experience. So what that means to us as business owners, that means that on that first page, we want to add some type of variables to the page so that makes us unique. So if someone has already chosen a title to their website, we don't want to use that exact same title, because that's not a good experience for the person to come on a search if everyone has the exact same title. So what you'll notice that many times, or almost all the times when you do a search, every single title of their website, the descriptions, are similar but different, so that Google can provide a different experience, hopefully to get the person to the exact search.
So let's call John's Plumbing. It'll be John's Plumbing Atlanta, Alpharetta. It'll be every different little market, because each of those.
In that example of the plumbing is going to be, let's say, for example, the search would be Plumber Atlanta, right? One person would have Plumber Atlanta, another person would have Atlanta Plumber, one person would have Plumber Atlanta GA or Atlanta GA Plumber. It'll be a different variation of the exact same phrase at the title.
I understand.
And the reason why is because Google, the person may be searching for a different phrase that is not necessarily mentioned in the title itself.
Got it.
And so by providing variations, they got a better chance of getting the exact search the person is looking for. So that's what they're trying to monitor, is how the page is performing. If you haven't updated your website in 5 years, your business has changed, the industry has changed, so likely you're not as relevant as the person who just updated their website 3 weeks ago.
And what I find crazy is that COVID was such a disruptor that COVID wasn't even 5 years ago. COVID was 3-4 years ago. So if you haven't changed it since COVID, you're out of your mind. And look, I think, you know, some of the principles, and I still to this day get 1,000 emails a month of people like, we just want to link to you. We want to write an article on your website. Okay. That is a very old school way of doing this. And what you're trying to do is build as many links because authority score is the primary point. And because of our connection with the Braves in Georgia, we have a high authority score.
Well, if you can do that strategy and get with a quality website, then man, that's very valuable, especially for both sides, because you can actually get them a quality written article, which is, you know, you've written articles for yourself. It can be kind of taxing, you know, time consuming if you're trying, even with ChatGPT. Let's take a little, you know, depending on how in depth you are getting and how competitive the article is, right? So if you have another person writing an article for you for your business, if they do a good job, it could be great. And the same thing, if you can find a way to get someone to mention you and you take the time to create a quality article for the website, you've earned that link. And so that's the reason why that strategy, I think, will continue, because at the end of the day, if it's exact same content, if you have higher authority, which means more links to your website, then you'll rank higher.
Right.
So you
and all authority score is it's who you hang out with, right? Our authority score is not high. And I believe the last time I checked, we were in the 70s, which is pretty freaking high for a local radio station. It is higher than most people we were on. And that's, again, how close tied we are with the Braves. We're on every website they do, Georgia Tech. You're talking big, prominent institutions.
Which will automatically drive your relevance up. So the closer you are linked to another authority in a space, then the higher your authority score is. And so that's what really measures the relevance you are into a marketplace, is how many other peers link to you. And so that helps you rank higher if you have the same information. But with all that being said, though, if you have outdated information, you can have all this, you know, authority and links, but if you haven't made sure that the information on your page is speaking to the person that's searching for you, then you're going to lose traffic.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the nuance now. So one of the things that I think has come up is there's a renewed focus on locality and being local and hyper relevant to what you serve. So for example, if you have a high authority score in New York, but someone in Atlanta is searching for it, it may not go to the New York site because it thinks that the Atlanta site is more relevant to it. So the authority score isn't necessarily what matters. Is it that authority score relevant to what this person is searching for? That's been a change. It was just you want an authority score, but now it requires a little bit more nuance. So talk about how being local, how locality has come into this.
So locality has always been such a huge thing for SEO. It has gotten even more challenging because Google has now learned how to associate a location in a way that it's never been before.
Yeah, you're allowing access. I mean, if you go onto a website and the computer has an ability to know where you are, it says allow access, allow only this time.
So Google knows where the person is located, and now it's actually reflecting where the website is in relation to the search.
And it's doing that because that's an easier way to make more money on geo-targeting. However, it benefits now because when you're SEO, you're getting a piece of data.
And when we go back to the original purpose of Google, when people are searching for a term without a city, before it was always a national search. So if you typed in personal trainer, you got personal trainers, the most dominant personal trainer, and it could be New York City, it could be California, whoever has the strongest website, it will come up, which means that's a poor user experience because I may not know that about Google. I may not understand that I have to type in a city. Now, likely most people will go back and add a city after that. But I would imagine there's people who were confused and then weren't able to get the results that they were looking for because they didn't know to type in their location.
And I bet you there are plenty of businesses in this country that were able to scale up because they realized that mechanism was there and that if they just took over the world, you know, Morgan & Morgan comes to mind. That's a national firm that is the biggest lawyer. And they probably by accident just like, oh my God, they're letting me just search. Let's just take over, let's own this search. Why think small-minded? If you take over the whole country, you'll make your money back and then some.
Obviously for national providers, to your point, if you have advice line or if you have a natural resource, you can just provide training or that type of information.
Even mortgages, things that are applicable like straight across the country. If you get in that top 10 in those days, then it was a huge advantage. Now, you know, it is more local. So even if you do that search locally now, you're more likely to You would have made enough money when you were national that you could figure out how to localize it if you need to. And I think locality is important, right? I think the COVID forced communities. I think people in Atlanta really want to do business with people in Atlanta. That probably wasn't the case in the 90s and 2000s. There's more love around the city. I think people want to do good for their neighbors. So I think that's more prominent now than ever. So I think the timing's good on that.
That's true. And I think that there's more data out there locally before. I think one of the reasons why SEO is still such a great opportunity for businesses, because there's still so many gaps on Google. There's so many different, I call it low-hanging fruit, where if you go to a web page right now, anybody listening to this right now, if you go to a search right now and search for your service in your area, and if you see a bunch of directories on that page, like Yelp, or
that means there's opportunity.
Lawyer directories. If you see that many and there's only maybe one business on that page, that is a sweet spot, because Google would rather have a local business than directories, because that means if they click on a directory, they're coming out of search and going into another search.
Yeah.
So that's not a good experience for the person laying on the web page.
They want people to live in Google, and Google is the only directory. Why are we going?
They want the land directly on the website that's going to provide the service. So if you are a service provider in that location and you see that your search and your local city is bringing up all these different directories, that is a sweet spot, and that's a perfect opportunity for you to get in ChatGPT, create your page related to that search, be relevant, and get that click. All right,
so we're going to do a speed round now. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out my naive understanding of these things, and I want you to elaborate, and we're going to stick to about a minute or two, so we're going to cover this stuff fast. And my purpose is that a couple of things. One, if we went into all the details, people would lose their minds, get bored, and their ADD would kick in, and they dip. But two, it's understanding that as complicated as this all is, there's so many little changes that you can make that will help. So let's just do the top line. So we're going to start. I'm going to read them off. You go. I'll hit up, play some Oscars music, do a little violin for you to stop. But let's go through this. All right. So we're going to start with focus on quality content.
Focus on quality content means you're going to, right now, you can use AI to do a search about what's the question that a person have about a particular topic, right? I always recommend do an outline first on what people are searching for related to the topic, and let ChatGPT give you an idea of what people are searching for.
Yeah, then parameters. ChatGPT gives you the parameters. Then you write something, and then you can plug it back into ChatGPT and say, optimize this.
Right. So once you have that information of what people are likely searching for, you're going to look through and see.
And ChatGPT is not sponsored this, by the way. Use Copilot, use Claude. We don't care what you use, Gemini. But for this sake, ChatGPT represents all of the large language model AI bases.
This is very much
ChatGPT. You should sponsor me, because that would make it a lot easier. Carry on.
Exactly. But yeah, so once you find out the outline of what you want to write about, then you're going to actually have it, give you the full article. Once you have that article, you're then going to go in and add your details, your DNA, and make it specific to your location, your area, so that it can.
Because the perception is high-res videos, and I don't think people care anymore. I think people are craving authenticity. So how overproduced it is, that's not the quality they're looking for. They're looking for, does it answer a question that people have that they're going to Google for, which I think is a great answer. Improve page speed.
Proof page speed is huge right now, because people's attention span is so much less than it's ever been before. So if your site,
you're also loading more and more content onto the site, which has to load. So you got to be cognizant.
Yeah, you're now wanting to start considering adding videos to your website. You're now wanting to add some more interactivity, because you have the ability to use AI to code, right? So speed is so important that I found that if your site is a second slower, that could be a 10% decrease. 2 seconds load speed could be, a difference of 30 to 40% conversions. And I say overall conversions, it means phone calls for your business. So
that's huge. And it's so clear. It's so easy. Google Analytics will lay out, you can type page speed. It'll show every single page. It'll show you the anomalies that are loading slow. It'll give you insights as to why they're doing it. This is not a hard one to find out.
Let me give you guys a clue about this page speed. And I want you to think about it. Most of us have high speed here in Atlanta. But when you go outside of Atlanta, some of the areas,
it's a great way to put it.
You get a chance to see when your computer speed is not, 100 megs, right? If your site is slow, you start seeing that site taking 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 seconds. Yeah. So now that person who's searching for you with not the same speed as your internet, they can't get to your information. They're just going to go back out and go to, you could have the best information, but they just can't get to it.
And not only that, but if everyone goes on at 7 p.m. and they're going online at the same time, it bogs down the lines. I mean, I have 1.2 terabyte speed, which isn't even reflective. It's so freaking slow. And then that also adds in. And I have Wi-Fi 6E routers running through my house. I wired myself. Most people are still on Wi-Fi 5 with the router their internet gives them. So there's so much that goes into this that, again, it requires nuance. Optimize for voice search.
Optimize for voice search is huge. I mean, right now people are going to be, we're lazy. So if we have the ability to not type it in and just hit a button and search, AI is actually learning how to do voice search. It actually gives you the ability to make phone calls.
It's transcribing in real time. That's the new thing. The processing power is fast enough. It used to not be able to do it. If you ever looked at Dragon in one of those old ones, it botched it. Like if you talk fast or you have even a small hint of an accent, it didn't know what it was doing. Now, my goodness, it'll take a 50-minute podcast. It'll transcribe that thing in 30 seconds. And be almost exact.
True. And every Google search or Yahoo or Bing search has a little microphone on the side where you can just hit that and the search will come up.
Especially mobile.
Exactly.
Especially mobile, because you have the microphone right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're into Alexa now, and now you have Google Home. Many people have these tools that they just will speak out their search out loud. So it's a great opportunity. It still pulls from Google. It still pulls from the search in the same way. It's going to pull out the top 3 to 5 locations. So that's the reason why SEO could be very powerful in that regard, because if there's only 2-3 businesses mentioned, if you're in that position, you got a good chance of getting those jobs.
Yeah, love it. So we're going to skip local because we had that conversation. So how about leverage AI automation? And let's preface it by saying this. I think everyone's proficiency with AI is different. My personal thought is you're not going to learn unless you start playing with it. And what it requires is the prompt writing is what is so important.
Well, I'm actually glad you brought this up.
Go.
I got closed last night by AI on an appointment. It sounded like a human, and I knew I was talking to an AI.
Yeah.
They were calling me about appointment setters for my business.
Yeah.
So I said, let me talk to this AI. And it asked me a question. I said, well, no, I don't want to do it because you guys are going to be priced too high. And it walked me through it. And then I said, well, I don't know. It's going to take you too long to get started. And it asked you the objection with the precision, and every time agree, justify, close. When we go ahead and get that appointment set up.
Let me ask you this question. What, if you don't mind divulging, how much were they asking you to spend?
I don't know. It wouldn't give me.
So here's my thing, okay? If it's something where someone's asking for a couple $100, no problem.
Right.
The higher that dollar amount goes, the less I even wanted to be doing these conversations via email. I need a person who can look me in the eyes, who I can hold accountable to what my business achieves. And I'm not saying everyone's like that.
Let me ask you this question.
Shoot.
Are you saying that for the appointment, or are you saying that for the sale?
Oh, I don't have time to waste on. I need, in that first time, someone that can answer my specific questions. If it is a bot and the next step is, do you want to talk with a real person right now? Then it did its job. If it says, go on this person's calendar and set an appointment, they've already lost me. That's
true. Now I'll tell you how this happened. So I was on Instagram and I seen an ad. I responded to the ad, and then I didn't fill out the form. I didn't complete it because I got the idea.
So it's trying to catch what falls through the cracks.
So then I didn't fill it out, but I did leave my phone number on there. So I had already gave a lot of information. And then there was the follow-up phone call with an AI talking to me. I saw you was filling out the form, but you didn't complete it. Why don't we go ahead and get you on the calendar? And so I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. I looked at it and, the price is probably going to be high. Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying the same thing, but the only way you can find out is if you actually have a meeting with us. And the reason why I did that was because I'm like, okay, well, if it can do that with me, I'd imagine that there's an opportunity for other individuals who've done the exact same thing. That it can help. And you think about, if it can do this, 10, 20 times, an hour, right? That's a huge opportunity. Now I can just send my marketing to the max and just let the AI follow up. And then I can look at the percentages and see how it reflects.
And I think it's certain businesses. Look, I mean, honestly, for transactional businesses, this kind of stuff makks sense, right?
Absolutely.
But if you're trying to sell a car this way, they're never coming back to you. It's transactional businesses, and I think
you a mortgage. Yeah, it is very true. Certain industries, they're going to want to. They still want to talk to that human connection because it's such a. It's an emotional purchase.
I would also say part of this is the way large language models work is it's learning from itself. So even having the description of how people talk might give you 100 data points of things that you're missing in your phone calls. I've seen the AI being integrated to call centers where they're saying what they do is they rate the call, they say what was missing, but they also pull, hey, when you say this, the close ratio goes up 20%, right? Wouldn't everybody like to increase their close ratio? So integrating AI and what if 1 out of every 50 calls is answered by AI? And it does a better job than the people. That's where I think that comes in.
I kind of distract us a little bit because we're talking about automation, and I feel like it was I got sold on this appointment, and I think automation is so huge because it will allow our businesses to be able to reach different platforms that we might not have been able to touch before. Personally, I can post on 1 or 2 platforms personally, but it's too much for me to try to post on all platforms: LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. it gets to a certain point where it's like, you know what, I don't even use this platform.
And the aggregators aren't great, man. Hootsuite's a pain in the ass. It tells you it's going to do these tools, but it just does not do. You have to go in because everyone's parameters are different because that's not what they want you to do.
Correct.
Twitter wants its own parameters.
They want you to spend more time. So having the ability to automate, which is, a little AI employee that goes in and gives the impression that it's an actual person going on there doing the content, helps you be able to get a better reach. And I feel like right now, 2025, I do feel like it's a ranking factor that we could be everywhere. No longer is SEO, search engine optimization, it's search everywhere optimization. And what I think that automation gives every business owner the ability to do is to automate their business across all platforms in a way that we have not been able to do before, because it's just too much work for one person.
I agree with you, but I think if you don't have fundamental understanding of SEO, then you're never going to be able to do what you're talking about. You're talking 6 levels ahead of most people we're speaking to are probably at the level of I'm using Copilot to figure out some articles, not automation. And again, I think it's expensive to design. I think that the resources of engineers that are there for SEO are really for automation are really expensive right now because there's no one that's went to school for it. It's so new and up and coming.
Correct.
I think when it normalizes, like what I would like, I'll tell you automation. I would like to record a podcast, have it transcribe it, break up short form video, do my summaries, do my everything all built, hit one button, post all the things all by itself. That's what I want.
Not here now.
We're not even close.
How many programs do you have to do what you just described?
I do Word, and then I go into Copilot, and then I go to my AI software for video breaking down. Then I go into Instagram. Then I go into Twitter. Will work with the AI program. So probably 6, 7, 7. And I'm really, when I learn, I can close my eyes and bang it out. Like what should take, if I put an employee that I have on it 4 hours, I'm done in 35 minutes, 40 minutes, because I'm just, it's routine. And the quality control is because I've done now hundreds of episodes of the podcast. So the quality control is on the front end, so I don't have to worry about the back. Now, that being said.
But to keep that point is mastery, right? You've done it so much, you've gotten so much better. When you first started, it wasn't that easy.
It was brutal.
It took you a lot of time.
It was brutal.
And you've named these different tools that you're using. You've added more tools because you've gotten more experience, and there's certain nuances that you want to be able to accomplish that you couldn't do before.
And the cool thing is you learn, like, for example, what's better on Instagram, what's better on Facebook, what's better on YouTube. And once you start understanding, like, obviously pictures work better in Instagram, but it loves food. It loves foodie stuff for whatever reason. Maybe that's Atlanta, maybe that's just, but it loves food stuff. So the food stuff goes to Instagram. Like the really motivational, that's LinkedIn all day long, right? No one on Instagram is on there to be motivated about business. They want like, you could be a millionaire, right? That's not the kind of stuff I'm doing, because you can't be a millionaire unless you work freaking hard, right? It's a scam. And most people are just scamming. Like, if you read my thing, it's and there are people that are going to fall for it, but that's not the people I want to reach. So all right, we went so long on that one. All right, let's
can I add at the very end?
Please.
Is data. We touched on data and the fact of using AI and what it gives you the ability to do. You can actually, to automate, you can actually use this to look at the data and look at the numbers, because now, as you are tracking yourself across all these platforms, you can look at which one is performing better. And so that's another piece that it's not, we talked about it a little bit last year. I think this is a big conversation in 2025.
I agree with you.
I think a lot of people are going to understand what their data means.
Yeah.
And they understand that as they're on these social media channels, if you're 100% reliant on social media, you are missing out on one crucial part of your marketing. Yeah. And that's understanding who's clicking on your ad, where they're located, and what type of things they're looking for on your website, for example, versus if they're on Instagram, they get all of that data everywhere they go. When they're on YouTube, they understand exactly who this person is and what type of things that interest them. So the more information you have on your website and the longer you can keep them there, you get to understand that data, and then you can start to curate your content to be reflective of the people who visit your site. Yeah. That's what data does.
And look, like, to some extent, you still want to acquire new people, right? If you're only working in the same funnel, then you're going to only be like, there's ways to get new people, and there's a young whole generation coming up that thinks so differently. Always, it happens all the time.
We're going to always drive traffic back to our platforms. And when we get it, we want to get the data. We want to understand what they're doing when they learn the website, what they're looking for, what resonates. The same strategy that Google is using to try to have the best experience for their people doing a search, we want to look at our websites the same way. And this year, we want to figure out what people are looking for and how to optimize our channels to get them that information faster and in a real way.
And more effectively. All right. So I think it's great. Now, one of the things, because I just want to elaborate real quick. Again, so data, one of the things I can't wait for is to really be able to plug data sets into AI and say, look for anomalies. Okay, because that's what I care about, right? Most people, if you think you're someone who's gonna be like, oh my God, my sales are down this day, freak out. You don't understand business, right? You need to let fluctuations go. You need to go. Now, that being said, if in last January you had a number and you're 30% below last January, was it a storm? If not, you're screwed. Like month to month, day to day, but year over year, these are numbers. If we get to a point where AI can spot anomalies before they happen, predictively say, based on the data, this is something to look out for, that is going to be monumental for business. Now, that being said, I am sure the big companies already have it. I'm sure they've had models. They can afford to have people build customization. How far off do you think we are from that? And how much do you think that's going to play into SEO and web design to preemptively know when you should be doing more things?
Well, I think that's, Facebook just put out an announcement, I believe it was last week, that they feel like this year, small businesses will be able to have an AI that will operate as an engineer in their business. So that is the type of thing that you're able to do when you have that level of expertise at your fingertips in the form of a prompt. I would like to just kind of talk about the importance of utilizing AI to create the prompt for you, right? So whatever you're asking for it to do, for example, to find those data sets, ask the tool that you're using.
What prompt would be best?
What prompt would be best to find this type of data? And that will get you closer right now to getting the information.
And then what you do, you run that prompt, and then you say, okay, now tweak it to do this.
Exactly.
And it's a real time conversation, not an ask once and then start over. It's it's an amalgamation of a couple. Now,
you would create if you can find a way to take your data and create it into a PDF document. And if you can put it into a PDF document, then you can upload a PDF, and then you can get some of the data points that you're talking about. I think that'll get you closer to what you're trying to do. Yeah. If you because it can read the actual.
But I think even Excel. I mean, I know we're not there yet because I'm waiting for this new version to come out. They're changing Microsoft Office to Copilot. So all of their stuff is going to be branded Copilot. Okay. So in theory, they're going to be able to go in and start reading Excel sheets. So you don't even need, they were trying to take CRM out of it. They don't want Tableau. They don't want these visualizations. They want to be that. So if the AI can now read spreadsheets and you can put 10 years of spreadsheets and in over 2 days it processes 10-year trends, what to look for based on this, that's game changing. Absolutely. You know how much you pay people? If you could pay EY, they would probably ask you for $400,000 a year to do work that'll be done in 10 minutes now. So I think that's the game-changing stuff. And I think, again, I don't want to get too ahead of everyone, but what we're encouraging you to do is there are small steps they can get you to get more proficient. And as the time rolls over, since the last time Chris and I had this conversation, just by exploration, the amount of proficiency that I've gotten from it is insane. You're not going to get it by going to a class. You're not going to get it by reading about it. You're going to get it by doing those things and doing it. So that's what I would say. All right. So
and then, add to that right now, no matter we talked about the automation, they still need that human touch, right? They still need that human experience. So, a lot of these things, sometimes when you talk about it, people get scared. It's going to take my job. It's going to replace me. It's not there. It will probably never be there.
Dude. So was the assembly line. We've always had things, and it just changes.
It's going to create additional opportunities. You'll have to support the systems with different prompts and look for anomalies on why it can't generate the perfect answer and understand how to understand the question better and understand emotions and that types of things. So that's where we will be able to, even if you take the answers that ChatGPT gives, for example, about MySpace, like if someone types in right now, give me a meta description. ChatGPT is going to give you 250 characters almost every time.
You got to give it based on, I did it,
so,
I do it.
Yeah, so
I
it has to be
website.
Less than 160 characters, but every time I ask for a description, it still gives me almost 300 characters for my meta description.
That's so funny because we do the same thing.
Exactly.
But that being said, it's giving you things that you can just erase the lines that you don't need.
Which means you have, as you talked about at the beginning, you have to have some type of working knowledge in every space, not just my space, but any space that you're trying to ask to search for. The expert is still going to have superior knowledge over AI.
That you have to keep asking it. That's one of the points where I'm like, look, the machines aren't taking over.
Exactly.
The fact that I've said now on the same prompt 20 times, make it 160 characters, and it still doesn't, is like, we're going to be okay for some time, guys. If you ever try to put logos in and give text to put an image, it can't even do the text. And you're writing it. All it's doing is taking the words like a typewriter. It can't even do that.
Exactly.
So we're not there yet. All right.
So you just have to build, but what it will do is give you some ideas of what you can include in your content, and it will actually take a sentence that you just scribbled, a completely horrible sentence that you just added the keyword that you want to target. You say fix the sentence, and it'll bring out something that makes it.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. Our production director, right on the other side of this wall, he was racking his head 2+ hours thinking about a different way to say they were buying back jewelry. Okay, and he didn't know what to call it. So 6 seconds plugged in and it goes bling back. I go, here you go. He goes, how the fuck did you come up with that?
Exactly.
And I was like, I didn't do shit, but in his head, it's magic. But all I did was take the parameters that he was hitting his head against the wall, and it came up with 5, and that's the one I like best. So that's the one I said, and now it's everywhere, and now it goes on. It is insane, and again, it takes in nomenclature and nuance. I don't know. We're gonna get to a point where it's gonna be insane. It's not there yet, but use it. All right. So I want to end with this. I want to end with 2 pieces of advice. I'm gonna go first for the new year.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it more. It's gonna be relevant to SEO, but more for general business. Okay. And then I want you to give 2. So my 2 pieces of advice in the year. Number 1, the days of you being an employee who focuses on the past and thinks that they should be compensated for the past are over. Your compensation is based on what you are able to provide for the future. Everyone needs to stop. I understand the baby boomer mentality. I understand you're paid for 10. That is not how the world works anymore. Trust is a 2-way street. Employees don't trust employers, and employers don't trust employees. So start marking your value on what you bring to the future. I think that is crucially important. Number 2, it doesn't matter what you are doing, what you are selling. Your only job in life should be to provide solutions to problems for other people. If you go into life as a salesperson, all you're going to be is selling something. If you're a problem solver and someone gives you parameters and you find a solution, whether it works or not, and you're trying to find a solution and you're listening, you will always achieve more. The world needs more problem solvers. It needs less salespeople. That was pretty good, huh?
That was good.
Okay, you're up.
Well, my first piece of advice when it comes to your website, put the content in your website that you will want someone to put about your topic that you would look for. So create a website that answers the questions that you feel you will want answered if you were looking for what you do.
Yep.
I think that's really what we're doing here in 2025 is just taking the time to think back of these different ways that someone may need our services, may benefit from things that we do, challenges that they may face if they do it the wrong way, and help other people miss those opportunities and save money or grow their business because they've learned something from your business, and you'll make more money from it, and the entire industry will be better as a result of it, because there's a lot of, in every industry there's bad apples. So any way we can do of providing that information to help others, I think that's great. My number 2 advice is going to be kind of the same thing from last year. We got to try to add video content, right? We have a lot of text. Creating video content and tools to provide solutions to our customers is going to be the wave of the future right now. If you can deliver that same information through video, sometimes the same video you put on Instagram or the same information you put on Facebook could be valuable to your website, because those things can now generate searches that people are searching for. Yeah. So I would also consider that in our content, in our blog articles, find a way to create tools and videos to provide solutions for your clients.
Yeah, and I'll say to finish that is do it a bunch of times. I just put out my 100th episode of the podcast, and my only goal was to get to 100. I didn't have any ulterior motives, and when I got to 100, you know how comfortable it is to do this? I mean, don't need scripts. We wing it. We figure it out. I ease in and out. You're never going to be good at something unless you do it a lot. And I'm not saying I'm good at it yet, but I'm saying I've done it 100 times where I'm comfortable to do it in any situation. So video is daunting, but so is writing articles. You don't want to reveal vulnerabilities to other people, and I understand it, but the world has changed in how it works. Get with it. Get out there. Try it. Try it enough times to be good at it, and you will succeed. You've been listening to The Marketing Madman. We'll catch you next week. Easy breezy.